first. Sure, come on in a big cloud of smoke.
Go on then.
Claire's rolling. Welcome to Ladies Chit Chat, where everything gets loose. I'm Lindsay. Next one, top one. Yo, go next.
I'm Yolanda. Hello.
Hiya, I'm Lana.
Hello, Claire.
Hello, blankety blank. Blankety blank. Blankety blank. What we look like, blankety blank. Evening, Ange. How are you, sweets? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ange. Happy birthday to you. Evening, Jules. Evening, Anna. Evening, and my roommate. Like watching Loose Women with a Twist. Shall I call it? I can't really call it Loose Women, though, can I? Evening, Antoinette. I can't really call it Loose
Hi,
Women.
everyone.
So, while everybody's popping in. So, you know, guys, how we... Hey, Tracy, Antoinette. So, how we always sometimes pick topics, not for another 45 minutes, but thank you. That was beautiful. Evening, Heather.
I'm just being polite.
She isn't she? So every week we come on, and every week we will do a different topic of some sort. Some nights there won't be any topic. Some nights we will be on topic, and we will drift off topic. It's just how the conversation flows. Evening, Jamie. So tonight is Yo-Yo's topic. Yo-Yo's chose tonight. Claire's topics next week, so I can't wait for that one. Because if it's any cocktail, we're not doing it. So tonight, Yo-Yo's topic is, I'm going to let Yo-Yo explain, because I know the end part to it, and I can never remember the first bit. So take it away, Yo-Yo.
Okay, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the power of the brain and how clever our brains are, as demonstrated with the placebo effect, the nocebo effect. I'm going to have to look the next one up. Mycogenic illness, which sounds very technical and it isn't when you hear what it is. Visualization and alternative therapies. And I just want to reiterate something that Lindsay said last time, and that is, I am not anti-drugs. None of what I'm going to say is anti-drugs. I know there are some belief systems that are anti-drugs. I do not. If I've got a headache, I reach straight for my pills. So this is not slamming drugs at all. Lynn?
Yeah, just like Yo-Yo said, if anybody don't. What you hear tonight, don't anybody stop taking medication. Always see your GP. If you've got aches, pains anywhere, see your GP before you start looking down at other alternative routes. Always seek professional medical advice, because none of us four ladies or any medical, well, tell a lie. Lana's got some medical knowledge, but none of us are a GP standard. So do these exercises or what we talk about alongside the medicine, because you might find the combined may give you a better outcome, let's say. So go on then, Yo-Yo, which one are we explaining first?
So this really is all about the power of the mind and how clever it is. And I've got no medical knowledge, but along with, I've been a spiritualist for a long time. I've done visualization for a long time, and it suits me. It might not suit everybody. And in doing that, we've all heard of the placebo effect, and we've all got our own opinions on it. And this is just what I've got down here is a brief explanation of each of those categories. And then it's just an open forum to discuss the incredible power of our brain and what it can do. So the placebo, which comes from Latin, and it means I shall please. doctors have been aware of the placebo effect since the 1700s, when they realised that if they couldn't get hold of a genuine medicine, that they could give their patients a sugar pill, and it worked. And it was also given by doctors who believed that people were imagining their illnesses. And again, no pill was given other than a sugar pill, but the imagined illnesses were going. By the 1950s, placebos were used then to do drug trials with. But nowadays, as we've progressed, the new drugs are compared with their older drugs, and you can then use a placebo as the sideline, as the guide for it. Scientists believe that the reasons placebos might work is due to the expectation of the brain, and it can induce psychological factors that do improve symptoms, for example, with pain reliefs and endorphins. So we release endorphins from the brain when a pill is taken. Our body's own natural painkillers are endorphins. They can also reduce stress hormones like adrenaline, which can slow down ailments. And in 1996, here's an example of placebo. 56 volunteers took part in a study to test a new painkiller, which was called trivaricane. One finger was covered in the new pain-killing trivaricane gel, which was brown in colour, and the other finger wasn't covered in it. They then had their fingers clamped. After the experiment, everyone reported that they had less pain in the finger that had got trivaricane on it than the finger that didn't have trivaricane on it. When they finished the experiment, the students were told that trivaricane was a placebo and it only contained water, thyme oil, and iodine. And yet all of them had reported that they had less pain with it.
Yeah.
Placebo effect in surgery. This was Ian Harris is a surgeon. I believe he's Australian, and he is a skeptic. And he gives an example of people that have angina. Angina is a lack of blood/oxygen going into the heart. And in 1939, the surgeons of the day had this brilliant idea. With angina, because they weren't getting enough blood, the doctors know that we've got all these blood vessels coming into the heart. And they discovered a blood vessel called the internal memory artery, which supplies the rib. And they thought, if we tie that vein off, more blood will therefore go to the heart, which will reduce the angina because more blood's going to the heart. And this was a very successful operation, and it became a standard procedure in America. And then in 1959, 20 years later, other surgeons said, but does it work? Has anyone done any trial procedures on it? And they hadn't. So they did start doing trial procedures. One group was given the tied off artery and the other group were not. They were opened up, stitches were put in, but no procedure had taken place. And after that, they reported no difference. There was no difference in it. And yet for 20 years, they'd carried on with that surgery, but there was no benefit from the surgery. So
would there have been any benefit though from the surgery?
Well, they thought there was a benefit, but apparently it was a placebo effect.
Right. And well, Anne's book Chocolate also releases those endorphins. Yes. It bloody does. Laughing.
Apparently plain chocolate is very good for depression.
Plain chocolate. I eat plain chocolate to release them. Oh, thanks, you.
So the next one is the nocebo, and that's also is the Latin word, and that means it roughly translates into I will be harmful. An example of nocebo is if you are given a medication and you read the side effects of that medication and you then start to experience those side effects. But the thing with nocebo is people can experience side effects when they're actually given a placebo drug.
Yeah.
So they're given a sugar pill. They're told the side effects will be nausea, for example, but actually they've been given a placebo, so they shouldn't be experiencing anything. So that's an example of nocebo.
And just put up, human perception is very powerful. Fascinating, Yo-Yo.
It's amazing. And in 2012, the Technical University of Munich in Germany researched Nebo effects. And in their research, they encountered a young man who'd overdosed on his medication. He was rushed to hospital with dangerously low blood pressure, was given IV, and they thought they were going to lose him. However, somebody realised that what he'd overdosed on, his pills, were actually placebo tablets. He could have had gallons of the stuff and it wouldn't have made any difference. So the surgeons went in and said to him, "You've overdosed on placebo." And he came out, all his symptoms went like that, just like that.
Wow.
Nocebo can also be detrimental. So if you're prescribed a genuine pill that we all know works.
Anodine.
Exactly.
No, not anodine. Paracetamol, because then I'm not advertising. Paracetamol.
Right. The doctor says to you, "I'm going to prescribe you this tablet," and it is a known, confirmed, good tablet, all right? However, they then say to you, "Actually, it's a placebo. Let's take it and see if that placebo pill works." The patients will report that that medicine had no effect on them whatsoever, even though it was the genuine pill. So that's an example of nocebo.
And put, well, if you're told to have something, your brain obsessed in the subconscious think that's right. So you believe you have said.
Absolutely. And this is going to be particularly interesting in what Anne's just said, because this is the mass psychogenic illness, which I found fascinating. And this is when a group of people all together. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say we're all together in a room and we walk into the room together and we can smell a noxious smell.
Yeah.
And then one of the people in the group, we all think it's a nasty gas. One of the person vomits. We now think we've been poisoned. Now, unbeknownst to us, the person that vomited at lunchtime had a dodgy prawn sandwich, but we don't know that, all right? They don't tell us that. They think they've just vomited because of the noxious smell. So then we start thinking, my God, they've been poisoned. And it is a fact that we will all start to throw up, be sick, fall on the ground. And the medical reasoning for this, they believe, is if you are told you've got to go on stage and you've got to talk to an audience of, let's say, 5,000 people, and you're about to go on stage and you start to get butterflies, you feel nauseous, your heart starts racing, all sorts of horrible things happen to you, that is stress. And they believe with this mass psychogenic illness, what's going on is they believe we think that person has been exposed to gas. This is the example I'm giving. And we believe that they could die from this dangerous gas. So we start to feel it. And we are throwing up and we are feeling dizzy and we are feeling sick, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with us. But what's happened is it's the effects of stress. We're frightened we're going to be poisoned. And so it's the stress that will bring about those genuine things. And then we've got visualization.
And just put massively believe in projecting personal perception.
Yes, exactly, Ange. It does. Visualization was, here's an interesting one from Jim Brigham, and he's a life coach. And he's given an account of two groups of bodybuilders. One group were told, you've got to work out solidly for 12 weeks. The other group were told, you are not allowed to work out at all. However, what you do have to do is for 12 weeks, you've got to visualize you're working out. So if you go into a gym and you pump weights, in your mind, go into the gym and pump weights. After the 12-week trial was over, the people that did work out had got a 53% increase in their strength. But here's what's interesting. The people that had done no workout and they'd only visualized their workout had increased their strength by 13%.
Well, yeah, but that might work for Jay. Don't work for bleeding diets, though, yo. I visualize my self thin every day from being 20-year-old, and I'm still a chunky mama.
And then Dr. Moskovitz, who originally trained as a psychiatrist, has become a world leader in neuroplasticity, which is the ability of the brain to change its structure and the neuron sending pathways where it sends signals and messages. And by doing visualization, it can reduce pain. Yeah. So that is neuroplasticity with visualization. And going to what you were talking about, Lindsay, visualization with weight loss is one of the things you can do with visualization for weight loss. And I've actually done this.
Yeah. Can I just read this before?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, do stop me.
I'm putting them up on screen. Anna Clark said, true, so true. Same as if you say having a drink with a friend and they ask if it tastes right. If it tastes right, you start to doubt your own taste buds, etc. She's laughing. This is a fascinating subject. I'm a counsellor by training, so the mind fascinates me. I'm a medium to boot. Yeah. Very good. Evening Access Paranormal, put interesting. Bex has put interesting. And Angie's put, you're a beautiful mama.
It is fascinating. The brain does amaze me. So visualization for weight loss, and I did this and it actually worked for me. And I know we're all different. Yeah. I love chocolate. And the massive bag of M&Ms, the big family pack that you're supposed to share with everyone. Not me. Every night I would open that bag and I would scoff the lot. And I thought, I've got to stop doing that. And I had heard about visualization. What they said was, you've got to visualize everything. So I had to visualize walking downstairs to get the bag of M&Ms. I had to visualize carrying that bag up, and there's no cheating. You can't just be in bed. I had to visualize walking upstairs. I had to visualize getting into bed. You have to visualize opening the bag. You have to visualize putting your hand in and eating the chocolate. And you have to do that until the whole bag is gone. Wow. And then give it 10 minutes and now ask yourself, then say to yourself, yes, I did, Bex. Then you say to yourself, I've just saved myself 800 calories. Do I still want that chocolate?
And my mind would say, my heart and my tummy would go, no, you don't. But my head, or actually my head and my heart would go, no, you don't. But my belly would be going, feed me. But no, I get what, it's really good. Yeah.
I think if you
the mindset.
I'd put on quite a bit of weight and I was adamant to lose it. And I love eating. And I thought, and I use that technique. The other technique for visualization is, will that work for Chris? Yes, Ange. You've got to eat every individual crisp though, or eat them as you would. But the other one you can do is repulsion. Instead of eating it, you can visualize. For example, let's say you enjoy eating cheese sandwiches. You have to visualize that the person that made that cheese sandwich has wrapped it with hair from a plug. Exactly. You then eat the cheese sandwich and you visualize the hair going down the back of your throat, and it's a repulsive visualization. But
you just did it.
Yeah, I've never done that one. I've done the I've eaten it visualization, but that one is supposed to work.
Too chewy, Yolanda. I can't be doing all that chewing.
And then, and I will shut up in a minute, and I'll let the last one. So now you can see why this is nothing about anti-drugs. This is how amazing. Yeah. And then the last one I want to cover is alternative therapy, and particularly with herbs and with things like magnetic therapy. And I'm sure everyone knows that people will poo-poo it, say it's rubbish, say it's mind over matter, say it's the placebo effect and it doesn't work, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to recount a story that I know, and I'm going to hypnotherapy. Yeah, exactly. Yes, there you go with hypnotherapy. Very similar, isn't it, Anna? So when I would poo-poo these people back when it comes to alternative therapy, because although I use alternative therapy, I'm quite happy to use herbs. Before I go to the doctor, I'm not condemning doctors, but with my mental health, where the antidepressants didn't work, I did find 5-HTP works, and that was available at Holland and Barrett. But I also believe in magnetic therapy, and they can poo-poo that as much as they like, because I had a dog who at 18 months old fell and tore her cruciate ligament, and she had to have an operation, and the vet said to me, she is going to be arthritic when she gets older. And I said, well, what can I do to prevent that? And he said, there's nothing. She's going to be arthritic. And I thought, well, I'm going to find something that hopefully will slow the onset of arthritis. And I was having a looking around, and I'm aware of magnetic therapy, and I see they do magnetic dog collars. So I put the magnetic dog collar on. Now move forward, she's now 14. And unfortunately, she did the other cruciate ligament, and she was too old to operate on. So I've taken her to the vet, and they x-rayed her, and they came out and they said to me, how does your dog walk? And I thought they were telling the beginning of a joke. And I thought, well, she walks. And they said, have you seen what her legs look like? And I was getting quite frustrated with them. So they showed me the x-rays. My little dog's kneecaps were like bone on bone, knuckle. It was like that, gnarled. I was horrified when I saw the x-rays. But the thing is, she walked. She never limped. I mean, I love my dogs. They're my babies. I don't have children. I would not have had my dog suffer. And I did say to them, I have noticed when she starts getting up, she's, when you start, she'll sort of like stretch a bit. She'll take a while before she gets going. And the vet said, well, we can give her blah, blah, whatever the medication was. And I said, oh, okay. I've gone outside, and the receptionist whispered in my ears, please don't give your dog that medication. The side effects are kidney disease. Why don't you go to Holland and Barrett and get green knit mussel, put it in her dinner? So I did that, put it in her dinner. And within 2 weeks of her taking it, she didn't seize when she stood up. She didn't have to walk slowly. She was back to walking normally again. So what I would say to people that condemn alternative therapy, magnetic therapy, and all the other types of therapy is, okay, I can't argue on me. Maybe it is the placebo effect. I don't know. I'm not going to argue that. But my dog didn't know that she was wearing a magnetic collar, and my dog didn't know I'd put green knit mussel in. So that is my poo-pooing back of the people that condemn alternative therapy. Yeah. And I finished now. So I hope I haven't drug at all, but it is the power of the brain. It's placebo. It works on animals as well.
Jules has put copper bracelets are supposed to be good for arthritis. I will tell you a story about copper though. Me and John bought, and it weren't cheap. It was an expensive copper bracelet to wear for the arthritis and stuff like that. John ended up with copper poisoning.
You never.
By wearing the bracelet, he got copper poisoning from it. So I'm not saying everybody's going to get copper poisoning for it, but some people will have different reactions to different things. And he didn't realize
to the group.
He didn't realize until he took it off. Because he was feeling really sick all the time. He wasn't feeling well in himself, and it was the copper. Once he took it off and he'd had it off about 2 or 3 days, he started feeling a lot more normal. He put the bracelet back on, not thinking, and the symptoms come back again. Excuse me. And it turned out that it was the copper that he was. So then I was like, I'm not wearing mine, and I took mine off. I thought, no, if it's happening to him, I'm not going to risk myself having that. So I took mine off. So yeah, I heard this, Lindsay. My mum suffered from copper poisoning. Yeah. I'm all
a stainless steel magnetic one.
That's what I'm after. Steve, I'm just put massive fan of alternative therapy. Jules has put, I'm thinking of giving my dog who's 12 cod liver oil as she's getting stiff when she first wakes up. Yep. Bex has put all about alternative therapies as a Reiki practitioner. That's what we're going to come up to. Anne's studying animal Reiki. That's interesting.
Fabulous.
Rebecca, Joe, I know. Ladies, can I just off topic? Is it legal for cats not to be microchipped? As far as I'm aware, I don't think cats have to be microchipped up. And I think I think it's down to personal preference. I know some dogs may do, but I don't know about cat sweets.
All dogs have to be microchipped.
Pardon? Dogs have to be microchipped.
Dogs have to be, yeah.
I don't think cats do because they don't.
Lindsay, you've disappeared.
I've disappeared?
Yeah, you disappeared then.
Am I back?
Yeah.
I don't know what's playing. I hope it's not going to start playing up again. I know dogs have to, but I don't think cats do. I think they do, but not 100%. That's what I'm just saying. Karen's put, I put mine on, you move. I put mine on, you move, and he's been brilliant. I think she's talking about dog. Oh, lovely Anne.
Back in the room.
So, back in the room. So, right then, Claire, your take on alternative therapies. What do you think?
I think alternative therapy. I think alternative therapies are a good idea. I buy a lot of things from Holland and Barrett for myself. I listened to what Yo-Yo said. I have a lot of reactions to prescribed medication. If there's something on there, I will get it. So now I cannot read, because what I used to do was get my medication, read the side effects, so that I'd be aware if I got any. So what I now have to do is take it without thinking about the side effects, and then if one does become apparent, get my partner to look through the side effects to see if it's on there, and then if it is, I know it's real. But yeah, because I was just frightening myself silly, and then you're like thinking, well, is it my mind now thinking I've got one of these, or is it that? So yeah, I don't read the side effects anymore. But I also don't like taking medication that I don't feel that I need, if that makes sense. So like I've got my heart tablets that I need, my HRT that I need, and a few other bits and pieces. But then I might go in with an ailment that's not life-threatening or anything like that, and doctor might suggest something, and I will find an alternative. So I'd go to Holland and Barrett's and get an alternative, because I know I can. It's not something that's going to be fatal. It's something that I know that I can find an alternative for. So I would go down that route. I have also had chiropractor. I've seen a chiropractor, which is classed as alternative sort of like therapy, medication. I don't know how you describe it, but doctors don't really see that as being part of medical treatment. It's not recognised as medical treatment. So I've had that. I've had acupuncture. So yeah, I am a great believer in alternative. But as Yolanda said, you can't stop taking your medication if you prescribe things from your doctors that you need. They are alternatives, but they're not alternatives for everything, in my opinion. You know, sometimes
also work hand in hand, though, can't they?
Yeah, definitely. But you do have to be careful, because as most of you know, I've talked about it before. I do suffer with anxiety and depression, and I know that my cousin used to take St. John's Wort for her depression, because she didn't want to go onto the tablets, which I've refused. So I thought I'll go to the supermarket and get some St. John's Wort, and I know it worked for her. So it's an alternative to getting something prescribed. It's more herbal. But luckily I did read the back, and I couldn't take it with medication that I was on at the doctor's. So do also be careful if you do go down the alternative route to check that it is compatible with anything that you're taking from your GP. But what I do, because like my dad's diabetic and I went in for something for him and he couldn't have that. So what I tend to do is go to somewhere like Holland and Barrett's and ask them to get the information up on their computer to tell me whether I can take it or not with the medication that I'm already on.
That's a good thing to do. Always check. And if you're in if you're in like Holland and Barrett, they should be able to bring that information.
Yeah, last time I went in, it just got all the information up on the computer and it said, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you can't.
Take that as, Lana, alternative therapies, are you standing?
Well, I think that everything has its place. I think there is a good balance if you look for it, but obviously a lot of things are contraindicated, such as what Claire's just mentioned. So, do look and check for different, even massage. I mean, I started off doing massage. I was a masseuse for several years and I did hypnotherapy. So, I am a big believer of alternative therapies, and I did want to do chiropractic as well. So, but I didn't go on to that. But yeah, a lot of things can overlap and a lot of things can kind of benefit one another, but it's just finding out what the balance between them. Some things are deemed good for you, but you've got to really read up on everything. What is good for one is not good for another.
It's not.
And even as much as massage, you've got to kind of, you can't have massages every day. You've got to have them, you've got to regulate them because your system is draining through your lymph nodes, etc. And if you've got something like, I don't know, something that a tumor or something is going to spread, it's not a very good thing to have. Yet it looks like it's a very harmless kind of therapy to have and beneficial. And it is mostly, but, there is always something that will be contraindicated.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of checking, really.
Yeah. Just
and also some sort of like herbal remedies, people can have reactions to them too.
I had reactions. I'm going to say that.
Right.
For menopause, I was looking online what worked best kind of. Hang on, just let me read what Steve's put. Steve's put, without sounding like a complete hippie, I find regular doses of sunshine, fresh air, salt, air beach, and nature will heal the soul. And if you are healing your soul, your body will respond. Although chemical medicines have their place as well. Totally agree. Angie's put, absolutely agree of taking meds, which you should. However, for all other issues, please read the back and look for natural remedies where possible for you. If I was a doctor and could prescribe walking for mood enhancement, then I would. Evening, Diane.
Can I just say quickly as well, if you can't find out the information and you do want to try alternative therapies, such as herbal treatments and stuff, always check with your GP if they are compatible with medication that you're already on.
I was looking online for I didn't want to go on HRT, so I looked for alternatives online, bearing in mind I'm already taking certain medicines anyway. I'm not one to read medicine labels and check whether I could have took my herbal stuff by the GP like everybody suggested everybody does. Not everybody does it, and you will learn the hard way, ladies and gents, you really will. And I started mixing it was sage and I forgot what else it were. All the reviews from what everybody was saying, it were fantastic. For the first 3 days, my hot sweats stopped like that. I didn't have any. And then all of a sudden it was a constant. I was waking up sweaty. I was getting up first thing in the morning. I was sweaty. I'd be sitting on, and it was literally dripping. If I was sat in a room with somebody, I were dripping. And at first I thought it can't be tablets. Nobody has this. Well, apparently these sage and these other menopausal tablets that I was taking on my body made the symptoms 20,000 times worse.
Oh, right.
As soon as I'd stopped taking them, The hot flushes have gone back down to what they were, where I might get 1 or 2 a day if I'm lucky. I still get a little bit clammy skimmed, but I sounded like semi-skim then, didn't it? Clammy skin. I still get the clammy skin, but that's what I was getting at the beginning of the menopause, if you know what I mean, the like early symptoms. So, but I've decided not to go down any route with menopause at the minute. I was speaking to a lady and she said, if you can do it naturally, do it naturally if you can. She says, not a lot of women can. Some are lucky enough to do it naturally, and if you can, try and do it as natural as possible. So I'm taking that route. The HRT is put on hold. I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it, but at the minute we are things going with HRT. You'd be lucky to get any anyway. So at the minute I'm quite happy doing that, but I've shelved it, but I've not said I'm never going to do it, but it's just my own issues.
Again, it's down to everybody's different. Everybody's different. I can't cope without mine. I get brain fog. I get itchy legs. I get irritable. I feel really unwell and tired. I just can't. I can't function.
Yeah. Jules has put, when she's run out of HRT, she took Evening Primrose. Evening Primrose worked, but not as good as the HRT. Yeah. If Evening Primrose worked good, I'd stop taking the prescribed. Yep. And says vitamin D. I think we all like vitamin D sweets.
It's been advised, hasn't it, for everyone to take vitamin D. Yeah. And apparently, the darker the skin you've got, the less vitamin D your skin can absorb.
Yeah. I know for me, vitamin D, my level dropped. I don't know what it means, but it dropped to 16. So I don't know what that means on a blood test result. I know that's
every day.
I know that's really bad. So we've upped it, and I think I'm on. I don't know whether we've dropped it back down to 1,000, but we did a week. I think is it 8? I don't know if it's 8,000 or 10,000 you can buy. For thing. So for a week, I put myself on the higher dosage, and then I've dropped down because we haven't had much sunshine. I'm going to give my body another blast and give it the higher dose again for a week, and then I'll drop down to the 1,000 a day because for me, I know I need it. I do. Obviously, I don't go out. So, holistic alternative therapies are now being recognised in hospices and hospitals like Reiki. I think that is absolutely brilliant. I know for me with alternative therapies, I like healing. I like going to healing. I think Reiki would. I think I've never had a full Reiki session done, but like when people have been training for Reiki, I might have just had the top, my back or my shoulders done. If they've got to practice or whatever, then I've had that done. But I wouldn't say I've had a full Reiki session done. But from what I hear on the hot stones and all that, and the alternative, when it comes
to they are beautiful. They're very good.
Yeah, when it comes to certain kinds of back problems, the effect that they can have is out of this world. Unfortunately, and I'm not just the only one. There's going to be other people in chat that mine's not a muscle damage. So because mine's not muscle and it's nerve damage, there is no therapy I could have that will help ease any of the pain, because technically the doctors say I'm not in pain, but my nerves are telling me I'm in pain, if that makes sense. I don't see how it works when, like I say, your leg goes, your ankle goes, and everything else. So for me, the only form of alternative therapies on in the sense of Reiki and healing, I would possibly go down the I would just sit and have healing done in a healing circle, just because I get more out of that than I do. But then I've not done Reiki, so I'm not dissing it. But yeah, Bex is going to have to do me a Reiki session.
I know what you mean about the nerves, because I've got fibromyalgia. So I can go into doctors and my arm or elbow can be out here swollen, but there's no reason for it to be. But my nerves are telling me I'm in pain. So obviously your body sends everything to that area to protect it, hence the swelling. And so physically you can see there's something wrong, but there isn't.
Yeah.
My nerves are telling my body, my brain's telling my nerves are telling my body, and you just have that reaction. And Reiki, I've had 2 sessions, Lindsay, and it's absolutely amazing.
Right.
The first one, I went in and I was so tired, so drained. I came out running. I ran home. I don't run.
I remember
mean, it's only up the hill, but I was hopping and skipping out. The second one was even better. The colours that I saw were fantastic. But that's also when I had that vision. So it was like I could see myself from above, and I was a boy, and I was walking up a street. I'd got long socks on, a flat cap. I'd got my friends at the side of me. It was so real.
Yeah.
It was like a past regression.
Like past regression, didn't you? Yeah.
It was absolutely awesome. So I would recommend Reiki, as long as obviously you went to someone reputable that
knows what they're doing.
Oh my goodness, it was absolutely fantastic.
Marvelous. TENS machines, can't use them, sweets. It aggravates the nerves. It's like going on them vibrating plates and stuff like that. I've tried them, but I can't. Anytime Lindsay Fletcher downs Aggie Reiki, you will. I saw another question.
Take her up on it, Lindsay. Honestly, it's amazing.
So, has any of us tried Chinese cupping?
I've got some cups upstairs. I've never used them. I don't use them.
Right. Yo, Chinese cupping?
No, I haven't tried that.
Do you know anything that puts me off? Have any of you ever seen these when they've been cupped? Have you seen the skin?
State of them. Oh,
so that frightens me to death.
But
when I see
it's supposed to get rid of the old blood, isn't it, and produce new blood.
Whatever it does, it sucks it up in that cup, and then when they pull it off your back, I mean, from that kind of therapy for me, I mean, it's an alternative therapy, the Chinese cupping, but for me, I'd be like, I'd shit myself if I come out. You'd look like a bumpy monkey or something, you know. You look like a crocodile or something that's got lumps on its back, because there's just these big cups. Has anybody in chat ever gone for Chinese cupping or thinking about going for Chinese?
I've got a friend that's had it done. He swears by it, but it's not for me.
Couldn't it cause?
I think it's the thought of it. I think it's the thought of it.
Bex has just put she can't because it can cause blood clots. So obviously,
can it cause blood clots though?
I don't know.
Because it's like fetching it to I don't know.
No, sorry, she's rephrased that. She's put, couldn't it cause blood clots?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like I say, it's something that I wouldn't even think of having done. But that's me personally, because I don't like the idea of it.
No, I don't. I've seen people having it done. I mean, it looks really relaxing.
It does work. I mean, it's an old...
an
old remedy.
Has anybody in chat while we're talking? It does look painful, Scotty. It looks awful. Angie, you'll have it done. I want a photo sending Angie after you've had it done. I want to see how lumpy your back is. Has anybody in chat gone for any kind of alternative therapies to help them? And if so, why? Why? What? Sorry, not why. That's a bit rude. What could, if you can you explain a reason on why you went for the choice of alternative therapy? And I'll bring them up onto chat. So, Yo, what were one of the other ones? We did this placebo, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about placebo then for a little bit. So Claire,
I think the placebo is incredible. I think it's absolutely amazing how our brain can do as it's told, if you like.
Yeah.
Apparently scientists are saying that's expectation, but I think if you take somebody that's got knowledge over something you know nothing about, and they say to you, let's say I said to you, I've got this wonderful therapy. It's absolutely incredible. I have to hold your hand, and I'm going to do this up your hand, and it's going to release endorphins, and you're going to feel fabulous afterwards. How many people would feel fabulous afterwards? I've just made that up. But how many people, because they believe you're a specialist, and they're hoping that they're going to feel fabulous, that actually they've done it themselves.
So I'm going to throw in a question here, and obviously I like the alternative, and I believe in the healing and the Reiki. What happens though if, when you were going for healing, we're getting told by people because they're healers, and we're getting told by Reiki masters, how do we know that's not a placebo feeling? Do you know?
This has been discussed at Lourdes, where they gave people tap water and Lourdes water, and they've also brought into it your belief. So if you believe it will work and you believe it's holy water, whereas somebody that doesn't believe in it going in, and the placebo effect of that, they weren't, when I was reading up on this, they weren't disrespecting it. They were giving people MRIs. Yeah. But it's the church that actually call it a miracle. And I think the last recognised miracle at Lourdes was recognised in 2013 for a miracle that occurred in 1989. So it took them that long to verify. And I think of 7,000 acclaimed miracles, only 1% have been recognised. And I didn't really want to talk about Lourdes because I would hate to disrespect. I'm nobody to disrespect anything. And it's very difficult to talk about it without sounding cynical or as if I'm condemning it. And I'm not. And whereas 7,000 sounds a lot, my first question to myself was, how many people go there? So to say there's been 7,000 miracles there, how long has it been open? How many people visit all the time? And of those 7,000, they've only given 1,000. But then, it was a bizarre thing to read because, again, how many people go there that are going and think, oh, well, while I'm here, I'll have it done. I don't believe in it. How many people are going and thinking, Bernadette made Our Lady here, and Our Lady was a visionary, and there's healing. So, Lindsay, exactly that. Is it a placebo effect?
Exactly. Well, when I had my Reiki done, I obviously believed in it, but I didn't think it would work for me. But it did. So I went in with the negative attitude and still came out with a positive.
And that could be going on at Lourdes as well. But I think the thing is, if you go to the medical people with that, it doesn't matter what you tell them. They will say, no, it didn't, it's placebo. No, it didn't, it's placebo. Well, you did hope it worked. You were hoping
it worked. So if only someone could feel how you felt and experienced what you experienced.
How do you feel about it, Lana, with placebo?
Well, that is, placebo is the state of mind, but obviously it was used originally in and continuously in medical trials, which and then you've got to look at the nature of the trial. So something like double-blind trials are when the actual researcher doesn't know which is placebo.
Yeah,
and which is
that'd be interesting.
Medicine. And then they get the results from those. So I think it's a case of looking at those as well, and sort of scrutinizing. There's a lot of medical trials out there. I did. I promoted.
You did, didn't you?
A steroid, and there were 50 medical trials we had to learn while we were out there talking to the GPs. So that was just for one drug, and placebos. Obviously, I have worked in that kind of field where they are used. But also there is another thing, which is, don't know if any of you have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
And he wrote a book called You Are the Placebo. So he had a really, really bad accident, and he was a chiropractor or something like that. He was something like that. Or he was studying it, and he was in some sort of triathlon, but he was on a side. The part that he was actually doing that day was he was on a bicycle, and he got knocked by an SUV, and he got flung up into the air, and he landed down, and then this car came into him, so he was dragged down the road. And he had so many bones broken, etc., etc. But he wouldn't be operated on, I believe. I did get the audio of the book a while ago, but it's a very interesting book if you want to pick up on that one to read. He's written several books, and the reviews on them are phenomenal because he just puts things in such a way that describes you as a person. So he looks at you as the placebo. You have the ability to it's providing the right conditions, and it's linking in with higher self, with, you have got to be able to do that. It's like meditating and having being able to sort of reach that state of meditation where you know that you're in that perfect place. And people say they meditate, but they don't actually meditate. But to meditate where you don't actually hear or see anything in the outside world does not affect you. That's meditating, where you're completely within yourself. And that's a higher state of mind. So what he was talking about is reaching your subconscious and tapping into that energy and making it work for you. So that's a fascinating book. Well, I didn't read it all, but I've got to sort of dip into that and read it. But there was also a guy at Harvard which said that, I did write his name down, Ted Kapchuk, and I think he basically said that the placebo was kind of to do with the procedure of being cared for. So it's like a ritual, or it's to do with attending appointments and being seen to be medically treated, which gives that effect of actually feeling as though you are being treated. So he kind of talked about the ritualistic side of it, which we all kind of, if you look back over centuries and within and sort of spread it out amongst religions, it's all to do with ritualistic sort of procedure and how we kind of can tap into, our higher selves, or who we call God. So it involves a lot more. And I think that it does what Yolanda was saying about, people thinking that, kind of getting a group of people. I think he gave the analogy of people being in a room and somebody...
that's psychogenic illness.
Yeah. And it is just the power of suggestion. It is like hypnosis. Under hypnosis, you suggest something, and then that's how you can actually alleviate problems under hypnosis, because you give those subliminal powers of suggestion, which they may not even notice that you've given, but it's positive, and it kind of overcomes the condition that they've gone in to see the hypnotherapist for. So I think it overlaps a lot of different things.
Definitely.
Yeah. Bex has put, I personally didn't. I'm going to put it up so I can read it. But I personally don't believe spiritual healing and Reiki or placebo. Neither do I. Neither do I, sweets. Because I can send distance healing to someone without them knowing it, and it can really help them. And like she's put, without them knowing it as well. Jules has put...
I agree, Bex.
That's the trials my mum used to do. The doctor didn't even know if she was on the placebo or not. She used to have to go and do a test. The trial she did was for COPD. 100%. I mean, like I said, I mean, with the healing and...
was it Combivent?
Well, what?
Was it Combivent?
Drug.
Her mum.
Oh, the drug.
Yeah.
Jules, can you remember the name of drug, Jules? Combivent.
I promoted that.
Is that what you did? But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, for me, anything I do, my intent is there anyway. So when it comes to the healing and it comes to the Reiki, I do believe that they work. I do believe them alternative therapies do work. Whether it's, I don't think it's placebo based. I think Night and my lovely. But yeah, I don't think
good night.
It done. But I think for those that believe that it works, I think it will work. And I think even those, like Claire said, she self-doubted and didn't think it was going to work for her. So for me personally, I don't think there's a placebo effect coming in from the Reiki. But I had to throw that in there because I know there's going to be people that would have picked that up in the comments. Or when we finished live, they would have said, well, then, so I was thinking outside the box. So yeah. But going on now to what Lana's just said, the higher self, and going in, because you mentioned the higher self. I think that was another one you mentioned, weren't it, Yo-Yo, the higher self?
I think with self-healing, there comes in very much into play in that with the higher self.
So I'm going to start off with Claire. I just say something about placebo.
Yeah.
So like Lana said, when drug trials are done, they always do the placebo as well to try and work out which are actual sort of like reactions and stuff. And obviously this was done during COVID-19 vaccinations. And the reason I'm fetching this up, well, you'll find out in a minute. So frequency of side effects was lower among people after having the second shot, whilst the opposite was true. So the people that had the placebo, the side effects was lower after the second shot, whilst the opposite was true for the vaccine recipients. So basically, those that had the real vaccine were ill after the second injection, or most of them were, whereas those who had the placebo were more ill after with the first one than the second, which was me. I was worse off after my first one, and everyone were like saying, "Well, mine's worse after my second." But as you know, as I've just said, me and vaccinations, tablets, I always have side effects. So before I even went in there, my stress levels were up here. I was panicking, wondering whether I was going to get blood clots, this, that, and other. But the side effects that I got was my blood pressure was really low. My heart rate was really high. So that could have been anxiety. But I also came out in hives from head to foot. So I'm thinking, well, I must have had a proper reaction because you can physically see I've got hives. So they gave me some antihistamines and I was fine. The second one that I had hardly any effects at all, apart from feeling tired like everybody else. So then I read something today, and it was on about someone had got this plant that was poisonous, and they rubbed this plant on someone's hand or someone's finger, and they did it to people with this poisonous plant, and then some without a poisonous plant, but everyone believed it was poisonous. apart from 2 people, everyone had a reaction to this plant, even though some people had not had a poisonous plant placed on them. So the body can actually react to the poison, even though you've not had any poison.
Mm-hmm.
So then were my hives actually, did my hives actually come out due to the drug or due to me telling my body I was having a reaction to something, but I actually wasn't?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like white coat syndrome when you have your blood pressure taken. They usually do 3 times. My friend used to get really wound up going just for a blood pressure, and soon as they put it on, it was really high.
Yeah, through the roof.
And then the 3rd one would be normal.
Yeah,
so
because you've worked yourself up.
Yeah, white coat syndrome is knowing that you're going into that sterile environment.
But for your body to actually fetch out physical symptoms, I find is absolutely crazy.
It is, but I think that you
probably
thought it was poison that they were putting into you, or fearful that it was poison. Like,
I mean, it's like if I said to you, "Oh, I've put poison in your drink." How would you react to that? No, but if you'd already drank it, would you then start vomiting? And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I think it's sort of like as well, different people's brains work differently. And obviously, if you said you'd put poison in my tea, I'd just look at you and laugh because I know you wouldn't do it. So that I'm being jokey there.
Your body can physically react as if I had.
You've been, but there is somebody offers you something, you're like, yeah.
But then another question popped up because placebo effects, believe it or not, is still used by doctors. So they might give you, you might go in with some sort of ailment and they might prescribe you, say, antibiotics. So they know that antibiotics won't work, but they've given you something, then you feel better. So it is still used. But one question that did come up, because obviously doctors are lying to you with placebo effect when you go to a GP and they give you something that they know is not going to work. Is that ethical?
I've not personally, in all the time that I was a medical rep, I never had any of them confess that they'd done that. And nobody...
It said 90-something% of doctors have used placebo effect. It was nearly 100% have used placebo effect.
In a way, I think I understand
why.
Well,
they probably wouldn't admit, but having said that, it depends what they would give it for. They couldn't give it for something serious, life or death.
I think,
No.
I think for me, if they know, and I know, I mean, my daughter was an hypochondriac. I think if somebody's got a personality trait of an hypochondriac, that, I mean, Jordan used Google for everything. It was Dr. Google.
I used to.
And she got brain tumours. She got.
I was clinically dead once.
Yeah, clinically dead. She weren't alive. She weren't breathing. And for me, somebody like Jordan, that would, I mean, to be fair, she didn't go to, that's where her problem. She would never go to a GP. But for people that are hypochondriacs and the doctors have done all the tests and they are still coming in, and I'm not saying, like I'm saying, I'm not saying they're on death's door or these things that it hasn't turned out to be. I'm talking about just the minor ones, do you know? For them, I can see a doctor giving them sugar tablets and telling them it's something else, to go and get this script, and it will, because for me, if their brain is over functioning, by giving them, they're doing more harm giving them the medication than they would be. But if they, and I can understand why they'd hide the fact to GP on giving the placebo, because like you say, it would have to be an individual case though. But for me, I think it is ethnical in one sense. and not in another. But I think it depends on the patient. I think it depends on whether that person thinks that they're dying constantly, or their head's going to blow off, they've got a tumour. And if they've had all the scans and everything's come back and they've got clear, there is nothing, they can't find it. Obviously, you still need to investigate the issues if there is some. But I think if they can get away with it, I think doctors should do that. I've had Claire's Anne's put Claire, I was bad with all 4 of mine. I've only had 2.
Sure.
I've only had 2.
Yeah, I agree with what you've just said, because I was thinking about this and I'm like 50-50. But then such as fibromyalgia, that is still not known what happens or why, it's still not fully understood. For people that they've done that for, it's not helped them in any sense whatsoever.
No. Scotty's put, he thinks it's ethical. Keeping you off drugs as much as possible is always a good thing. Prevents you building tolerance to them. So when you need them for real, they still work. Exactly.
Again, going back to fibromyalgia, it's like there's no cause for it. There's nothing wrong with it. All your tests come back clear. All the investigations come back clear. Would placebo effect help? Because if it would, I'd be grateful for my doctor to lie to me to give me something. If it worked, but then like you say, is it ethical to do that? I would say thank you, give it me. Do you know what I mean? Don't tell me and let it be a wonder drug.
Some people wouldn't. Some people wouldn't at all. Yeah. So taking it on to what were we going to say? The self-healing, the brain. Yeah, that one, Claire. Going into meditation and self-healing and stuff. I think that's what we were going to cover after placebo. What's your take on that?
I think medication. I think it's good to meditate. I think it's good for your brain, your soul, everything. Energizing yourself, re-energizing yourself, giving you that feel-good factor. And I think if you feel good, if you feel better, how can I put it? I don't know how to word it. I just think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. I've meditated properly the first time tonight. I've meditated before.
Yeah.
Listening to YouTube videos and stuff. And hand on heart, and if I'm honest, I couldn't do it. My mind just drifts. So I'll be there listening, and I start off with the good intention, and it's almost like I'm bored and my mind drifts. I just can't concentrate long enough to do it.
Yeah.
And then obviously I've been to spiritual church tonight and I had my first session. And it clicked, something clicked. And I saw colours, I could feel myself grounded. I felt so relaxed. I felt so calm. It was like the world had been lifted off my shoulders.
So what?
I don't know. I think it was different setting. I was concentrating more. I had nothing around me. I don't know. It was just awesome. But I'd gone in, I was feeling quite nervous, obviously, but I'd gone in and it was just like a big release. It was just like a...
I think what it is as well, Claire,
I came home
talking to you and she's saying to you, when you're listening to it on a recording.
It's the way she says it, it's her voice, it's everything.
Yeah. I mean, you're for meditation with Sue. She gets you there, do you know?
Yeah, it's first time that I've ever been able to do it, and I've really tried. But I came home and I said to my partner, I said, you know what? I says, this is not just like a new spiritual sort of path for me, but this is going to be a useful tool for my stress, my depression, my anxiety, any hardships that I come across, any life, basically, anything that gets me down. This is a technique that I'm going to learn that I can use every day.
Yeah.
When I need it. It's going to be one of my coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So for me, 1000%, if I could feel again like I felt, earlier on tonight, and I can fetch that into my busy, hectic, stressful life, and it makes me feel so relaxed and calm and able to deal with the next task or the next bombshell, or then yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. But Soldier's Put, he's been looking at learning how to meditate, and it's difficult, and it's it's difficult, it's struggling. To be honest, Soldier, I struggled, and again, like Claire, I struggled with meditating and sort of like self-healing. Because you don't take yourself up to the level that you need to. And I personally believe, for me, and I don't know, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I'll speak for me. When I'm at home and I go to meditate, whether I'm sat on a settee or I'm laid in bed, I'm in my home environment. So I know postman's going to be coming at a certain time, so I'm listening out for postman. We've got dog wanting to be let out for a pee every 2 minutes. We've got school kids walking past. I know that next door neighbour goes to the toilet at 10 o'clock in the morning. Do you know? So all the sounds and the daily things. Also, it's like, I think when you're in your own environment to meditate, you've got too much clutter around, if that makes. And I don't mean physical clutter, but I mean mental clutter in your home. You go into the kitchen, there's always something to do. You go into your living room, you'll sit down, you think of something else you need to do. You go to bed at night, and even when you don't switch off. And I think by taking yourself out of that environment and into a spiritual church or a spiritual place, I think for those that struggle, I think it's really easy to start doing. I think what you need to do then is, when you come home, Donna and Paul at church, they've actually got their own meditation room set up at home. It is beautiful. It's fabulous. They've done it in, I think, if I can remember rightly, it's done in the purples and the black colours. You've got all the lighting around, the low dim light, you've got all little trinkets of candles and little like spiritual trinkets.
Sounds right relaxing.
You shut the curtains, and when you're in that room, everything else is shut out. So for me, I said to John, that's what I need to create at home. So I can meditate. I can't meditate when I lay in bed, and I can't meditate when I'm in chair. And I said to John, I need a room that I can go into, and I can shut that door and forget about everything. So that's where I want to start creating. And I think for Soldier, for you, when you're saying you're finding it difficult, again, I don't know, I'm not saying it is, but I'm just, for me, I don't know whether that clicks in for you. But it's like finding that space where you can shut everything out, because you really do. To meditate, you need to move everything. But I think doing it in your own home when you're learning and you're just starting, if you haven't got a spiritual place, you'll need to get a room that's going to be spiritual, because otherwise I don't think you'll get to meditate in the deeper sense of meditation. Soldiers put back, I have 60 years of being told that science and medicine is real and nothing else is. I think that is part of the problem I'm having to overcome my bias. It could be, Soldier, it could be. What's this one? Oh, it's talking about about immune systems and everything else. It's okay. It's another conversation going off in chat. Lana, then, self-healing, self-meditating, how do you find it? What's your belief system on that?
Well, I totally believe in it, and it's something that I've done for a long time. Obviously, there are times I forget to do that. Life gets busy and you just kind of get on in your own way. And but I do remember going to the doctors, and she took me blood pressure, and she said, your blood pressure's low. And she said, well, we've done other tests and that, and you're perfectly fine. She said, do you meditate? And I said, yes. And she said, but that's why your blood pressure is generally low. People's People who meditate, the blood pressure's low, can be low.
Wow.
So, don't know if that's a good thing because, I can remember always having low blood pressure. I think it's...
I used to always have low blood pressure.
Yeah, it's caught up now. And I remember the doctor saying it's because I thought, oh, is that a good thing? And the doctor was like, no, not really.
They can't do anything for it, though. They can't give you anything, can they?
No. So maybe that's a thing to bear in mind as well when you're doing meditation and you have low blood pressure to start with. I don't know.
I mean, I know low blood pressure makes you feel crappy and dizzy, but it's not as dangerous as high blood pressure.
No. Oh no, God no.
It's better to have low blood pressure.
I got rushed in with low blood pressure.
Did you really?
Yeah, you could, because the blood doesn't get to your organs. The blood doesn't get to your organs, and twice I passed out. Once at work and one was at home, and I went down and I got rushed in twice with it. And it's because
I've never been that low.
The blood isn't going in.
I think Soldier has. Soldiers don't say that, Lana, my blood pressure, and I'm sure
Wow.
Sure, Soldier's been in hospital, but yeah, you've done twice, haven't you, with low blood pressure?
No, I've never gone that low.
So, your take on it then? I know we're talking. I know you talk. I don't know whether you're going to bring your talk about the low blood pressure episodes, but
I think yes. I think Anne said, could Lana and I meditate? And yes, I can meditate. And I think it's I meditate when I'm lying down, and I think for me it's such a personal thing. It is so personal. I think the hardest thing to do is relax. So if you do have trouble relaxing, all I'd say to you is to relax, tighten everything, grip your hands, grip your fingers, grip your toes, tense your butt cheeks, grip everything, and then flop and let everything go. But I think for me, meditation is my belief system, and this is where self-healing comes in. And my belief system, because I believe we are all energy. So for me, meditation and self-healing, the whole thing comes together in one. And I won't acknowledge my pain. I will not acknowledge it. If I can avoid acknowledging my pain, I will say, you're not in pain, you're not in pain. And one thing that fascinates me, here's something. When you get out of your car and you walk to the shops, and it's a route you take all the time. Now, sometimes you will do that journey and you're thinking to yourself, did I lock the car door? When I get to the shops, I must buy some stamps. Then I've got to go and buy a birthday card. Then I've got to go and get myself some food for this weekend. Another time you will get to your destination and you think, where was I? I can't remember walking past the fishmonger, the baker, the butcher. I can't remember crossing the road, but I'm here. Where was I? And I think when you're in that state, what is your subconscious telling you? Sorry, this is really personal to me. What is your subconscious telling you? And I think if your subconscious is saying to you, I feel shit, I'm having a crap day, I'm this, and they're all negative things, is your subconscious feeding that into your mind? Whereas if you're feeding positive thoughts into your brain, I'm not feeling pain, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I am great, I am fabulous, I am getting better, I'm not having depression, I refuse to accept my depression. If that is going into your head, that's got to be good. So when I meditate, my energy is healing itself. I bring my aura into it. So I cleanse my aura. I cleanse my energy. I'm out with spirit, and that means nature. So beautiful nature. I know nature can be a bitch, but the beauty of the nature. And that's how I start involving self-healing. So it's not just a momentary thing. I try to train my brain so that when I'm in that trance, when I'm walking from point A to point B, hopefully to train my brain that you will not have an anxiety attack. You will not do that. I'm not saying it works all the time, but I assume that's got to be a better thought process going on in my head rather than, I don't want to go in the shop, I'm going to have a panic attack. I don't want to go here, I've got depression. So I think the whole thing is just one big package.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes as well, yo-yos, you know, when you're going out, you know, like, because like Rob knows you're prone for not prone, but Rob knows that you suffer with panic attacks and anxiety attacks. John knows I am. And, you know, sometimes I'll be getting it calm. We'll be going somewhere. When we were driving down to Lana, when we were driving down to Lana, the drive down there, when we got there, I said to John, I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack, an anxiety attack. And John went, I was waiting for this. He says, it's because you've gone to a new location. But then John said something, and I thought, well, that didn't bloody help me, because you've just said you were waiting for me to have a panic attack. So you knew I were going to, and you know, in your brain, and then you're like, God, are they thinking that I'm going to have a panic attack every time? So then that caused me to have a panic attack, because he was thinking I'm having a panic. And have you ever found that sort of, like, another person's energy can trigger it? I mean, one good thing John does for me is when I have a panic attack, he'll not faff around me at first, because when I have a panic attack, I like to just center myself and get myself into a position. But then I'll have to say I'm scared, because I do get that scared feeling. When I say I'm scared, he always puts his hand onto my back and just lets me know I'm there. And then he'll just like move his hand across back to calm me levels down. And he'll do that even if we're outside, because he knows how bad they can get. So yeah, I just want to know whether you get that as well
definitely, Lindsay. But I think also because our other halves know us, and they're thinking to themselves, I wonder if she will, and they're probably on guard waiting for it to happen. It's a protective thing, isn't it? It's like if I'm walking by your side, Lindsay, we go to Chesterfield shopping, and you say to me, I'm not going to use that, I'm going to walk, I'm going to use my stick. When I'm walking, I am 90% of me is thinking, watch her, she might fall, watch her. So I can be talking to you, I can be looking at the jewelry, I can be looking at clothes, but I'm conscious that you're not in your thing, and if you stumble, I have to brace myself to catch you. So that's the physical equal of John thinking, Lindsay's out of her comfort zone, she may well have a panic attack, and he's ready to catch you when you fall, really.
My panic attacks also affect my ribs, neck and chin. The pain is horrible. Do you know, I always know when
it's always here, right there, right inside there.
I always know when a panic attack's coming. In a way, it's sort of like, you know, when I work, like when do you know, if we go to a spiritualist church and I walk in, do you know, if I'm going to get a reading, I get this like sensation going up my neck. That same sensation I get before I have a panic attack, and I can't explain it, but it's like somebody tickling back of my neck going up and down. And I'll say to John before we walk in, I'll say, I'm going to get a reading tonight, and he'll say, and he'll say to me, how do you know? And I'll say, because I've got that thing on my neck. But then when I have a panic attack, I get that thing on my neck at the same time. But when it comes up, I get like this rush, like heat that comes up, and then I go like really cold into like a cold sweat, and then my breathing goes laboured then, and then my mind starts overthinking, and these situations are happening in my head, and then that's what causes that gets me on a panic. But it's linked to this. There's got to be a link into it.
Yeah, the way that I've learned to deal with panic attacks, I can't stop one coming on, because I can get up in the morning and tell myself I'm not going to have one, I'm going to have a great day, and you know, it can happen still. But what I found, and this might not be good for everybody else, but my way of dealing with it is, first, I don't call it a panic attack. I'm having an episode. I won't name it. So if Afi phones up and says you're right, I say, no, I'm having an episode. I won't name it. I won't give it that hold over me. So it's an episode. And then I've learned to like slow my breathing down. And I just managed to now pull myself out of it. So instead of letting it go too deep, I recognise it early, sit down, compose myself, control my breathing, and I've managed to learn to pull myself out of it before I go too deep.
Like Debbie says, talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just sit and compose myself and just like fetch myself back round. But yeah, I'm always having an episode.
Yeah.
Never a panic attack.
And Debbie's put grounding techniques. Soldiers put, changing subjects a little bit. Is anyone on medication called Buspart or beta blockers? Very good. Very good for stopping panic attacks. I have chronic. Why do you have tricardia? What is it?
Tachycardia.
Where his heart zooms off, and it does. But he does take beta blockers for it. Never thought of beta blockers for a panic attack. Debbie's put pick up energies. I don't know which one of us she was talking to, and grounding techniques. But yeah, I mean, for me, when it comes to healing, I do believe the mind can heal the body. But for me, when I've used personal for healing, for me, it's normally an experience that I've gone through that I need the healing for. And I find that helps. So when I lost my dad, it goes back to then the mind of a child, sort of like you learn yourself when you haven't got, when everybody don't think a child can. Yeah. So that comes into play. But then like through life, every time something bad's happened, I sort of like go into like a meditative state, and I sort of like heal myself then. So if I have an argument with a friend, I'll go to the meditative state and I'll meditate it, and I see it all through that way. And then I let go of it and I release it. Then I no longer have that. If I feel depressed or I feel there's only been one time when I've really, there's been a couple of times when I felt depressed, but I know when I feel depressed because I don't go bubbly, I go very quiet, I go where I don't want to. Anybody who knows me would know me like that if I was suffering with depression, because my entire mood changes. I don't laugh, I just sit like this. And that'd be it. I wouldn't speak because I literally shut down with depression. But I find later in life that I've found that I can help with the mind when I feel like that. So when I do have a dip day, it's sort of like I meditate out, I realign the chakras for me. Because I think sometimes if I'm not balanced, how is my mind supposed to be balanced? So I go back to my chakras, because I know different people, different beliefs. Some believe that the chakras help to communicate with spirit. The chakras for me don't help communicate with spirit. What chakras do for me is they balance me and where I am. And then that enables spirit to come through clearer for me. But the balancing of the chakras for me, and I think the self-healing side for me, I've never used it to heal an illness, unless you're talking about feeling sick, and then you sort of like tell your brain, don't let me be sick, don't let me be sick, don't let me be sick, and the brain does pick up on that. But for me, the self-healing sort of like come from like with grieving. I've done self-healing with grieving. In these last 4 years, I would say I've done a lot of healing myself on different levels through different forms of meditation. So like releasing anxiety and stuff like that. Obviously, I still get them panic attacks, but it's like, you know what I mean? But never be perfect, will you? But yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I do think for me personally, on a meditative state, and doing it that way, the connecting to higher self and where that comes in for me, self-love does help, and I think it helps a lot, because that's one thing I have learned, and I'm not bothered. I say it as it is. I do love myself, because I'm the only one that can love myself 100%. John can love me as much as he says he'll love me 100%. But he'll never love me as much as I love myself now. Maybe years back, he probably would have loved me more than I love myself. But then, how could he love me if I didn't love myself enough, kind of thing? Do you know, it's like that swings and roundabouts sort of thing, isn't it? But yeah, for me, I think the the connecting to the higher self, that takes you onto a different level of meditation. That's the meditation you were talking about earlier, Claire. That's the meditation that I go into when I have healing. We've got different healers in centre that we go, and everybody I go for healing gives off a different vibe, and I'll be drawn to whichever one's doing the healing for whatever I'm guided to have that day. The first time I experienced a deep meditation, and I love this lady to pieces, and it's Margaret. Margaret gave me a meditation, and I thought I'd got evil around me. I'm sorry, Margaret, if you're listening. I thought I got evil, and I shit myself because I'm sat in chair, and I just, as soon as I get a very warm sensation, as soon as her hand's coming on me, and I saw red, that was the first, then it went black. As soon as her hands went on, and you start, and the healing starts, it just went pitch black. I didn't see any colour. Then the next minute, I just saw like shoots of colour coming in, all different, like starting with reds and changing. Then there'd be a white light, then there'd be a blue light, then a green light. I bet it was like a fleck. It wasn't a full beam of light. It was like just a flick in and out of a light. And at first I thought, am I going to have a panic attack here? Am I with the wrong person doing my meditation? But I'll tell you something. When I come out of that meditation, just before she'd finished, the whole blackness went a pure, like white, bright light around me. And all the different colours of the chakras, any colour at rainbow was coming in. And it was like I was an eagle soaring through a rainbow. It was magical. And when I come out, I couldn't speak to Margaret straight off because obviously she was doing other healing. And I'm sat there and I'm thinking, that was best healing I've got. But why did I go black? And I was panicking because I'd gone black. I'd just seen this black space, nothing. And I've never seen that. I've never been to that level of meditation before. And and then Margaret says, that's when you know you're in meditation. And Sue said it as well, because I talked to Sue about it. And Sue said, that's proper meditation. When you go in and you see nothing, it is just jet black. That's when you're meditate. That's when you've reached your meditation. But if you go into meditation and you can like see things, you're still meditating, but you're not in the higher self meditation. Now, Lana, I'm not you. Is that right? Is the higher meditation where? So when we meditate and we see things, we are in meditation. But to get to the higher self meditation, that's when it goes dark, because
basically people think that it's all of the, you see all these things all the time and it's got to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that. It just means that you quieten the mind, in order to kind of get into that state. You've got to quiet the mind, you've got to shut it down, basically. So that nothing from the external world will interfere with you. I remember going to a lady who this was years ago, must be 25, nearly 30 years ago. And I went for a reading to this lady. And I went to the back door, and the back door was slightly open, and knocked on the door. No answer. Knocked on the door again, no answer. Went in and just shouted her name. Didn't want to go all the way into the room. Came back out. So I went to the neighbour and I said, the door's open. I've got an appointment for a reading. I said, but Vicky is not, responding. She said, oh, it's okay. She'll be meditating. She said, I'll go in and I'll try and get her pulled round. She doesn't hear anything, doesn't respond. So she said, I've got used to how I bring her round. And I remember thinking, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. I know John went into a deep meditation Monday night. We'd gone to classes, and John went into a meditation, and Sue were doing meditation. And when he come round, John just said, he just looked at me and went, I don't feel right. As soon as we come out of meditation, and he said he couldn't explain it, but he said he felt really panicky when he come back into the room. Now, luckily we were where we were, so Sue were on hand, Margaret were on hand, and he said when he come afterwards, when he were explaining, he said he felt like he come back, but he felt like he didn't come back. And I don't know when you like lose the tether, but he said as soon as he opened his eyes, he said, I've lost half an hour, where have I been? Because we did like an half an hour meditation, and he said, where have I been? He says, where am I? And it was like it were like he didn't even know what room he was in at first when he come round. And it said it scared him a little bit, that because I wouldn't not scared as in like scared, for those of you that do meditation.
Did you get locked in? Did you get locked inside yourself?
No, not really. You've got people
who would bring you out. They've got
you've got people there to bring you out.
No, but say you were. I'm going to say you were doing a meditation at home and you went deep, not purposely, maybe.
If long as you're
grounded, just come round. You would just come round. It would be like
grounded.
Sleep,
then you will. Yeah. Brian gave us a good tip tonight, though, because I was saying to Brian about I was talking to Brian about what happened with John, and Brian said if ever you come out of meditation and you don't feel like you still feel a bit woozy, he says first take a deep breath, obviously. He says, but then just stamp your feet to the ground. He says, because by stamping your feet to the ground, now whether this is his learning method, I don't know. But he says, if you stamp your feet to the ground, that starts grounding you again, because it's sort of like removing the brain from where the thought is to the, it's like
back into this reality.
Back into reality. Yeah. Debbie's he went onto an astral plane. John's done astral projection before. When he's meditated, but never to the level where he did it Monday night. I mean, Monday night it wasn't. It really.
That's kind of bordering on astral projection.
Yeah,
you've got to get yourself into a certain level of consciousness to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But he can be disorientated.
He was very disorientated when he come back. Like he said he didn't even feel like he'd come back. He thought somebody else had come back.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, Sue and Margaret was straight to him, and it were fine. Come end of session, like when it were all going home, it were like, wow, I can't believe that's an experience that just happened. Do you know what I mean? He didn't take anything home or didn't bring anything through. But he definitely trans. I said trans though, Debbie. Trans. So different place. And I do believe that the self-healing, when we need to self-heal ourselves, we need to get to that higher self state, not to as deep as what John got, to where he didn't know where he were when he come back. But I do believe to self-heal, it's that space above us, the higher self that people talk about. That's where we need to get to heal. I think we can self-heal ourselves when it comes to little things. But this is how I see it anyway. For me, you can self-heal yourself on little things, but then I think if your body really needs that deep healing, it's up here. You need to sort of like go to the darkness.
Or you need Paul.
Oh, you need Paul. Yeah, you need Paul.
I think our bodies and minds are just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And going back to self-healing, then obviously we can self-heal because the placebo effect phenomenon, can't even say that word, is obviously, it's been proven, it's very real. So that in itself is, it's proof that we can self-heal, because if we're thinking we're taking pills and we're not, that's us, that's our thoughts, that's us that's healing ourselves. So yeah, definitely we can.
Yeah.
Obviously, we still need medication for some things.
Of course we do. You do need.
But you know, I think that is. I know we started off saying this, and because Lindsay said to me, "Oh, can you make sure?" And I said, "No, it's not anti-tablets." And I said,
"You just have to say that because some people are so susceptible and vulnerable."
It's nothing to do with anti-medication. But the two things to me are so different. So if I had to go to the doctor for medication and they prescribe medication for a condition, I would take that.
Yeah.
Of course you would.
I would still try to self-heal in that. Or I would use my meditation to make sure those tablets did a good job. Or if I
help
have an infection, I visualize the good guy antibiotics wearing their night white suits and shining armor are fighting the evil, nasty black infection that I've got. So it's all in.
You combine the two together.
Exactly. It would be one or the other.
No.
I think
you use them in conjunction.
I think there's probably a common denominator between all of us, and that is we're all interested in it. Otherwise, people in chat wouldn't be listening. We're talking about it, looking for the comments. People are interested. But I think if I was sitting here with, I'm not going to mention names, a certain other people in my life, they would sit here and they would not do this. They would only take their medication. They think I'm talking absolute bollocks. You take your medicine. That's it. Meditation, alternative therapy. I only use science. Science is it, and it's the be all and end all. And we might go through the same illness and we might die at exactly the same time together. But I believe what I would get from it would help me enormously. Whereas I believe they wouldn't get what I would consider to be helpful. Like, I mean, Anne said earlier about trees. I love hugging trees. I love nature. I love walking around barefoot on grass. It gives, I don't know what it gives me, but it doesn't matter. It gives me something. But for the person I'm thinking of who is science and science only, and the rest of it's absolute piffle, I don't mean this condescendingly, but I feel sorry for them because I think you've got no hope. They think when they're dead, and that's it, job over and done with. And I think, wow, where's your hope? I don't get it.
I think for some people, I don't know whether it's just, I think, you know, when we don't understand, when people don't understand things, it's either fear or just instant denial. They don't want to believe that there's anything else. I spoke to quite a few people that have said, if there's an afterlife, I don't want there to be an afterlife because I don't want to come back to this, you know. Yeah, I think when it comes to stuff like that, I just think it's like you say, it's all on how open. I do feel for him because I just think that it's more a sadness just to think, wow, you know, that they must have gone through so much shit or so much bad luck to not want to ever come back, you know, for them not to be anywhere else. For those that just say, it's a crock of shit, there's no afterlife, we're never going to meet as loved ones and that, they're fearful. They're fearful. There's two different types of people, I think. I think you've got your fearful ones that'll go, it's a crock of shit, this. What you ghost hunting for? They're not real. Or
then you have got your people that really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
When they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah. But for me, I think also it's a fear of the afterlife. It's the fear of death. And that's why they say it, because it's sort of like, it's just that kind of fearful thing that when you look at the people that you're talking to, and I'm basing it on people I've personally talked to, not on everybody, but for me, it's that there's a fear path to it, and they've admitted that there's a fear to it. But I think others that'll go like, no, I don't want anything. There's nothing because I don't want nothing. For me, it's like a two different pathways, you know. There is a common thought amongst a large percent of the world's population, Yo-Yo, but it's indifferent to someone who is, to say, Christian. It is just a difference in belief. And that's for you from Steve Yo-Yo. Nobody likes
I think the thing is, whereas I do accept everyone's belief, because somebody said to me once, you're very narrow-minded, and it really did. I mean, it was a fly-catching moment. I had to lift my chin off the floor. And I said,
I like that, Debbie.
I can't believe you've called me narrow-minded, because I accept everybody, what everyone thinks. If you believe in crocodiles, good for you. If you believe that when it's over, good for you. But for them, that was it. When you were dead, there was nothing. And I was talking shit and I knew nothing. And I need to read more science books. And to me, they were like that because they wouldn't explore anything. It was black and white and science, and that's the end of it. And
science is always people that.
Do you know what though? Sometimes people will say things to me. I mean, I love a good conspiracy. I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but not an out there one, but I do like conspiracy. But sometimes people will come and say something that's totally like, I can't believe that. You know, I can't get my head around that one. But it does send a little spark going where you just have to start thinking. You know, you don't just say, "Oh, that's absolutely bullshit," and I don't believe none of that. You just like you think to yourself, "Nah, I can't get my head around." But then this little spark, and you think, "Well, actually."
You start looking
into I don't believe what they're saying, but actually this could have been, and you don't dismiss it completely, because then it gets you thinking.
I think people that have got a scientific approach to it, I'm not going to say they're narrow-minded. I don't think they are, but I just think
not at all.
They just look at the world differently because they like things to be explained. You know, it's like not your OCD. You know, like if you're, everything's got to have an explanation, and I think a lot of scientists believe that. But I do think these days there is more scientists now, especially because we're going past the dinosaur ages now, and new scientific younger people are coming in that are more open to actually. This can work along. We can try and prove this with science. We can, and they're looking now more on even within paranormal field. There's certain scientists or scientific groups out there that are actually bringing in the paranormal. And I forgot what it was to do with now, but it's something to do with that water. Water has got a memory. That's what
water memory.
The water memory theory. So scientists have proved that. So do you know what I mean? Science is always going to be behind.
Well, I didn't mean to imply that all scientists are like that.
Oh no, I didn't know.
No. It's just that, and I think Anne's had somebody like that. I've got lots of friends. I mean, I believe in science, so I'm not separating the two. But it's just that where somebody has got that mindset. And they would be amongst scientists, but and it's just completely buff.
I agree. I believe in science.
I
like what Debbie put up. She's put no such word as coincidence, word created to explain the hidden and mysterious things in life for skeptics. I
1000% believe in science, and I think it's amazing things we've discovered, things that we're yet to discover. I mean, look at them dinosaur bones that they found a few weeks ago. It's like awesomeness, and we learn through science, and we do grow through science.
Debbie said soon we will have a sixth sense. Sorry, I've put it in there.
It's okay.
I just got distracted by what Debbie said. Soon we will have a sixth sense. And I watched a program where these children were blindfolded and they could see what people were holding up. They found a group of children and it didn't matter what they held up, they could see through the blindfold.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
It's our brain growing, isn't it?
Do you know, I think we are all born with a sixth sense. Absolutely. The difference is the generations that we've come from. Some of the older generations were open to it. Some were very closed down from it. Some, it was because of different religious beliefs. Some, it was it was just something that they had no interest in. You know, they didn't believe in anything. They what are they called when they don't believe?
Atheists.
Atheists, right? Yeah. And I believe that if you go way back in time, when and it weren't just pagan belief, there was other sources as well out there, other religions out there that did believe in the elementals and working with elementals and the gods, goddesses, one god, 10 gods, it doesn't matter. But we were more in tune with his own energies because it was just a different world back then. And then obviously different things has come in, technologies come in, different religions come in and crushed the burnt witches at the stake because they did medicine. You know, there were different medicine women out there, and because the church or whoever just like crushed it, and it got drilled out of us, and then people were scared. So then people stopped believing because they were scared of what we're going to do. So when their children grow up, all they remember is their mum being scared. We're not going to believe in that. So they started suppressing us all, I think. And I think when you go back in time and you see things that come in that would have suppressed it, that would have sort of like stopped you from having your own mind. Yolanda were Catholic, Claire were brought up in Catholic. I don't know about you, Lana, but them two were both brought up in really Catholic upbringings. And I'm not saying they shouldn't the thing, but because it was sort of like imposed on them as a child to start believing in spirituality and stuff. Wow, it was like a blow your mind kind of thing.
I was sorry, I'm butting in.
All right. I'd rather you butt in and press something.
It's just where we're going with that science thing.
Sorry, can I butt in?
Yolanda.
Whoever complained about me smoking, I'm vaping, love. Up yours. I don't like it.
I was just going to say, going back to scientists and where we're going with it, like I was watching a program earlier and it was on Stonehenge and other ancient stone circles and pyramids and such. And people who were really spiritual, pagan, or other older religions, the two were mixed together, and so were witchcraft and practicing and stuff, because these monuments and are structures. They all use geometry, mathematics, science, astrology. Everything was sort of like interconnected. So you'd got your science, you'd got your witchcraft, you'd got your religion. It was all tied in. Science isn't just a separate thing to me.
No, exactly. It shouldn't be.
It's all tied. It should all still be tied together.
Absolutely. I mean, to break down the structure of a plant, to know that the curcumin comes from the turmeric, and that's really good anti-inflammatory. I mean, that is just wonderful. I think it was Prince Charles that said, if carrots cured cancer, the medical profession don't want that because there's none of the spondulis in carrots. So there's good and bad in so much of it. And I firmly believe that if Lindsay believes that fairies are behind it, then Lindsay needs to believe that. And if Lindsay believes walking down the road and talking to fairies makes her better, good for her. And if Claire, you believe that it's fish, it's all about fish, then that's your right. And Lana, if Lana believes it's all about both, do you know, it doesn't matter a diddly squat. I believe it's what you believe in, because if your belief is in your head and you visualize that and you do that, you will be right in what you're doing. And I think if somebody came up to me and said, no, you're wrong, it's all about, there is a God and he's called Derek and he lives at 32 Acacia Avenue. Well, if that's where he thinks God is, but to try to convince me that God is Derek who lives at 32 Acacia, I'm just going to sit and think,
exactly. You know, I don't believe it. I mean, Anna's put a comment in. She's put Jehovah's Witnesses say no to blood transfusion as it changes a personality. Surely not. We came from an Irish Catholic, but my mum and nan didn't marry Catholics or practice. For me, if that's their belief, if Jehovah's, if that's what's part of the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses, I only know a little bit about Jehovah's Witnesses because I do talk. They come to my door and I'll stand talking. I won't. They don't shove the beliefs down my throat, but I will just tell them what I think, and then we just sort of like get talking. I'm a right one for talking. But like with Jehovah's Witnesses, do you know what? Could a blood transfusion change a personality? Could a heart transplant change somebody's personality? Could having somebody else's organs put into somebody's body, could it change a personality? Who knows? Do you know? For some people it has done, but there's no scientific proof. Do you know what I mean? That it does. But like I say, like Yolanda said, it doesn't matter whether you're a Jehovah's Witness, it doesn't matter whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Irish, Christian, pagan. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in and what's right and wrong in religion, because that's not what any of us are about anyway. And I don't think that's any way that Anna meant it. But I just want to just clarify that, if you know what I mean. We all have different beliefs, and if that's your belief system, that's because you were brought up with that belief system. And nobody judges you. Nobody's going to judge you for your belief system, because we all believe in different things. So yeah, it's just, but if certain things get brought up in chat, and I just don't want anybody coming in after we've finished live and picking saying, you mentioned this and you mentioned that and you've not covered this, and do you know what I mean? So as hosts of the show, all of us have to be very mindful of certain things that can
1000%
in chat. We don't want it blowing up afterwards. No, I know you weren't sweet.
No, we know. No.
We know that. I know you're very spiritual, my sweets, with what you've put. But I'm saying, like when we finish and we shut down, we do have people that
people watch
just to cause maybe drama and pick people up on what they've said. So
we know what you meant, and it weren't meant in any disrespect.
Just cover it. So when they try to come on and do that, we can then say, well, actually, if you watched further on, you would have seen us all talking about it. So just that. So, but no apologies needed, beautiful lady. Scott is put. Where's Scott's gone?
Brilliant question.
I saw a question the other day. How much can we have transplanted before we're not actually us anymore? Made me think, if there was no medical limit to transplants, what make us, and when? Wow, Scott.
Brilliant.
Oh, you do put some good questions in. Do you know? Well, for me, for me, your heart is your brain's the biggest muscle. No, your heart's your biggest muscle, isn't it, in your body? But your brain is a big, big muscle, if it's even a muscle. I don't know.
Can I just add to Scotty's?
Yeah.
What if? Here's something else I've thought. I always pronounce this incorrectly. Cryogenics, where you die and they freeze you. Here's what
like Walt Disney.
Yeah, that's it. Here's what I find fascinating. Now, everyone says to me, they won't be able to bring you round. It doesn't matter. They can't bring you round. But let's pretend, for the sake of this, that in 100 years' time or 200 years' time or 500, they can bring us back. Okay? Let's, for the sake of this.
Yeah.
And this is picking up on what Scotty said. It's not taking over. Cryogenics. You've died of cancer and they've frozen your body because one day there'll be a cure for cancer and they intend to bring you back. Now, my belief is the spirit has moved on.
Yeah.
So that's my belief. If they then bring me back, and this is tagging on to Scotty, who is there?
To come back.
Yeah, because I believe I'm not there. I've gone.
See, I like that thought, because I would have thought the moment as soon as we close our eyes and take our last breath, our spirit would leave his body.
Yeah, I believe that.
I think that's an empty vessel.
I don't. I think it'll be a
It's just an empty vessel. At the end of the day, that body has died. So usually the body would be buried or cremated because it's no longer needed. Obviously, you need to dispose of it. So just because the body still exists because it's frozen, that person has still died. So their spirit, their soul has moved on.
I believe
it's just an empty vessel.
I believe that.
Like Debbie's put, and I quite like it, messing with nature's devil's work. But yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's funny as well, but in like 100, 200 years, would you want to be brought back? I mean, it's not your will, it's not what you remember.
Steve's put,
not particularly.
take on some of the traits as blood is the life of our current vessel, and I would think that would have some effect. Interesting.
And so put on about the heart transplants.
Anne's put, I still think how the film Ghost portrayed it is true. I still think how the film Ghost portrayed it is true. In what sense, Anne, my lovely?
The film Ghost.
The film Ghost, yeah.
Yeah,
like with the mediums and he was coming through.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know a song. Gone, you know, gone, you know.
I remember the 8th.
Oh, that's it. I remember the 8th, weren't it? Don't they freeze you before you die? What, in cryogenics? I don't know, do they?
Oh, I thought you died.
Well, on films they do, don't they? But surely I don't have thought they'd have legally been able to do that. I don't know.
While you were breathing, they wouldn't, surely.
But then, thinking about it logically, if they were going to fetch you back and cure you, you would still have to be alive.
Well, yeah, but
what's they died before you're frozen.
I think you have to look into cryogenics a little bit more.
You're wrong way because this cryogenics thing. What gets me is right when your dog's poorly, we're allowed to give his dog a sleeping injection to put him to sleep. If I'm in chronic pain and crumpled like this and legs squashed and everything else, and I can't walk and I'm in agony, legally they can't put me to sleep. Am I keeping you awake?
No,
they can't. I can't legally have an injection to put me to sleep. Wait a minute, I'm talking. I have to. What do you call it? I have to go abroad to have that done, right? What are you after? And then, but you're telling me if I go for cryogenics, they can do that to me while I'm alive, but yeah, I can't. I'll give you a injection to put you to sleep. No, mate.
I think we'd have to check.
To rudely interrupt me. Knows I lose my train of thought when I'm talking and he talks all, mate.
But sometimes they just take the head, don't they? It's not the whole body. They just freeze the head.
I don't think I'll look into cryogenics.
You leave John alone, Lindsay. Well, how very rude. How very dare he. Wasn't rude. It's how very dare he. Well, I just pass him that. I'm talking, and honestly, I'm one of these that if I don't start, if I'd have stopped to have said, I didn't hear him, I'd have had to stop and say, what did you say? And then I'd have come back round and I'd have gone, I don't know what I was talking about. So
I watched just put they freeze you at the point of death. Well, I think that's just triggered a memory. I think that documentary, I think you've got like a hotline, and the moment you're in the freezer.
I don't know.
I watched a program today. It was Ancient Aliens, and they were talking about transforming. So it goes back to what I think, was it Scotty that said about transforming, transplants.
Yeah, it was Scotty.
Transplants to the point that we no longer exist. But these people were doing like tattoos with all kinds of chips on the skin. So they were literally, they had a word for it. They were transforming people. The guy that he was speaking to had horns, and then they had sort of things that lit up under the skin and all kinds of things. There was like sensors underneath the skin that they would implant for different things. I don't know, for switching your lights on or something like that.
Now.
It was weird, and I just thought, oh my God, this is like going way.
Can you come and join?
It's like watching a bloody film, isn't it? It's like watching a sci-fi film.
Yeah, and they have all these marks on the skin that look like sort of chips, you know, like that you find on a computer board, motherboard.
AIs.
It was awful.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Frightening, isn't it? Well, when you think how medicine really evolved from the First World War, where we learnt so much, I was watching a documentary, and it wasn't long before we were on actual moving film of the history of medicine, because it's so new. So we learnt an awful lot in the First World War, monumental amount in the Second World War, particularly.
We got super glue, didn't we? We got super glue from war.
Yeah, with burns in the Second World War. I lived in West Sussex,
together, didn't they, with it?
Queen Victoria Hospital, and we had the guinea pigs there. Horrendous injuries from the aircraft in the Second World War. So it makes you wonder if you only have to go back 100 years before you see the huge advancement in medicine. Now go 100 years forward.
Yeah.
It's just crazy what might be out of our lifetime, but going on then. It's quite frightening.
We've got robots doing surgery now, haven't we?
Got what?
Robots doing surgery now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're using like mechanical robots, arms and stuff to do surgery. My dad had his
Alexa tells you robots are going to overtake world anyway.
My dad had his prostate removed with
I'm not sure, Soldier.
Using a robot.
I know that I was watching a program, and it was this documentary about medicine, you know, the beginnings of medicine. And then, as I say, it was only recently when we started getting the black and white film footage of them. But one of the things they were predicting is they are predicting that, let's say I've got a tumor, what they intend to do is, what they predict medicine might become like, is they put me in what we might call an MRI machine, and they see it, and they take a photograph of it. We call a photograph. They operate on the photograph, or they remove it from the photograph. They then put that photograph back into the MRI, we'll call it MRI machine. I then get put back into the MRI machine. They put the photograph over me, and my body will emulate that, or the photograph will come into me, and it will copy what that image is. Then my words MRI, then my words photograph. But it's the only way I could conceive of how they predict it will go. So in other words, you won't be operated on. This laser thing will come through you and go and make you look like the image, the perfect image. A bit like 3D printing, really.
Does that make cryogenic freezing the scientific version of reincarnation? Robot surgery both comforts me and scares me. No human error, but also the robot could totally mess up or something.
I don't like AI, not to extent of robot,
and that scares me.
No, it scares me. And like I keep saying, Stephen Hawking says AI is going to be what's caused as apocalypse.
Yeah. Yes, Jill.
Freaks me out, especially after watching like all them movies.
Yeah. Do you know we watch so many movies, don't we, about stuff? But if you keep watching Simpsons, when I take over on Simpsons, just know that it's going to happen. It's all going to happen.
What was that? I know they did a remake. What was that old film called? I remember watching it many, many years ago. Westworld.
Oh, Westworld, love it. Yul Brynner played in
the original film. I mean, that freaked me out back then.
It did. I mean, that were thingy for its time, though, weren't it? That were quite
when
advanced. That first come out, it were very advanced for its time.
Very much so.
On what it were. Scary one turns out like Gremlins evil. Malfunctions. That's what robots will do. They'll malfunction. Yeah, but they'll malfunction, but then they'll repair themselves if they've got clever robots.
To mind the Terminator to me.
I know. Yeah. But again, you know, when you look at things like Terminator and you look at I mean, even if you go back, like you said, to some earlier films where you think, wow, where did they get idea of robots from? Robot cowboys.
Do you know what scares me though? That's not what scares me. What scares me is when they fetch out all these futuristic films, and then people seem to like watch the film and think, "I want to make that," and then it comes reality.
Stop making it, don't they? Yeah.
So, like they said, like Back to the Future made all these predictions because, like, you can get these overboards. No, someone's watched it and thought, "I'm going to make an overboard," and these science fiction films are now becoming reality, and that scares me.
But what I'm saying is it the producers that's trying to get word out to people subliminally, you know, through film,
that becomes acceptable
because it's more acceptable to watch in a film.
Did you see the documentary they did on talking about AI? They were talking about people that were left on their own and frightened and scared, and they don't want their loved one to die. And I think the gentleman is Japanese, and he absolutely adores his wife. He's created a doll of her, and he has gone onto his computer and he's asked her every question. Good morning, darling. To which she replies, good morning. How are you, darling? I'm not well. Everything is covered.
Wow. When
she dies, he won't lose his wife because he's got this doll that can answer him and speak to him, like Amazon, but with the
to me that's creepy.
So it was
amazing. Do you know?
I mean, that's fantastic for him, but to me it's creepy. But I mean, I made up for him. Do you know what I mean? But for me,
and they were talking about mass marketing it so that if you lost a loved one, you could have.
I like the idea of it. I do like the idea of it, but it's creepy.
He's put someone asked Musk and Al being used for bad things. He went on to describe how with current technology we could already make targeted assassin robot drones. Yeah. That's scary. It is.
I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you what I would love if they could do it for me. You know, like I said, they keep fetching things out from movies and it's becoming scary. But if Arnold Schwarzenegger could land in my garden back to what age that he were then naked.
Oh dear. Jules has just seen on Instagram that there's a hotel opened and it's all robot AI that run the hotel. The robot AI behind the reception looked creepy.
It's incredible what they're doing.
Oh, if you find it again, Jules, you'll have to send it me on Instagram. You'll have to send me links so I can have a look and I'll see if I can get it put up. I did see some comments because we've been going 2 hours, 11 minutes later. Tom Hardy. Where's Joe Mac when you need him?
Yeah, where's Joe?
He's a diehard Tom Hardy fan. Is it Ben Hardy for Anne? For me, which might
imagine though. I mean, can you imagine if you were making love and then you go to the toilet and went, "I'll be back."
Oh, dear me. I did see a comment earlier put on by Jules. She put on about working with go on. Potions. Like potions.
Aromatherapy.
What you
aromatherapy?
No, it weren't aromatherapy.
It was herbal.
Like you know, like herbs and stuff. And I don't know whether spell techniques coming in there or herbal remedies. It might be an herbal remedy.
Primal remedy.
Something I can't remember, Jules, exactly what, but I know you put something there. I was late, but it's been a brilliant chat tonight. Oh, thanks, Soldier, my lovely.
Thank you.
But yeah, what I'll do is we will have a look. It's Claire's turn to choose for next week's topic. So we will see what Claire comes up, but we will cover. I think we can. I can't remember. I know herbal remedies. That's it. Herbal remedies. So what we'll do, if Claire doesn't choose herbal remedies, we will do the herbal remedies the week after, and we'll look at herbal remedies. So that gives everybody 2 weeks' notice to scrub up on your herbal.
Not like this morning when I find out on Chit Chat, I'm like, I'm at work all day, then I've got spiritual church, and they come on meet me sing on live.
Hey dear. Yeah. So Claire, any idea what topic you want to talk about next week?
I've got a few, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to make my decision.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to make a decision? Claire, you froze. You're like blowing me a kiss on screen. So I'm going to let everybody say good night. So Claire.
Good night, everybody. Take care. Sweet dreams.
Lana.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.
Yo, great topic of conversation. Would you like to say your goodbyes?
Bye. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Thanks for joining in, and I hope it wasn't too horrible for everybody.
Nobody's going to be mentally scarred when you all leave tonight. So yeah, I want to say a big thank you for joining us this evening. Tomorrow night, I think I've got it down for 10:40. I'll be live doing tarots. I may do a couple of tarots with a twist. I'm not sure whether I'm going to go down that one route just yet, but yeah, tarots tomorrow night at 10:40. Might be moved more quarter, depends what time we get back from healing. But I want to say thank you tonight to Yolanda, Claire and Lana for coming on. I love these ladies chit chat nights. I think they're amazing. We get to talk about all sorts, from the spookies to the non-spookies to the conversations we've had tonight, to covering we just cover a multiple of subjects when we're talking, and we do sometimes come off track and like discuss other things that come into play as well. So I'm always watching chat and what's being said in chat. So yeah, so take care. Blessings to everybody. Love and healing sent to everybody around the world, across the waters, wherever you may be, underground, above ground, underground, overground. Wombles are we? Is it
Wombles are Wimbledon?
So I'll leave you with that little golden nugget of Wombles. Bit down memory lane. So take care, everybody, and we shall see you. Don't forget to join us Friday night as well. Friday night we have got an amazing gentleman joining us. We have got Neil, and I'm open on saying his name, Neil Geddes Ward, joining us on Friday at 8:30. That is going to be a paranormal, come alien, UFO, pagan. It's going to be a mixture of all sorts topic. So yes, so long as I'm not in the ground. You're not in the ground, soldier. You're not in the ground. Love you loads, guys. Take care. Bye.
Good night.